Welcome to this edition of AACFB's Front and Center with our most beloved Tina Cawthorn. Tina, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you, lovely Leslie, for having me here today. It's nice to see your sweet face again.
Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome. And I'm glad that we could get together. We were talking offline a little bit about some of the things that are coming up with AACFB that's new. So I'm going to jump right into that before we get into the really good stuff about what makes you who you are and the things you like to do during your personal time and how you got into leasing. So that's all going to be coming up. But first, tell me a little bit about these new things that you've got going on with AACFB.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm very honored to have been asked to join the new advisory council. We will be working as liaison with the board, and I don't really have much to share about it at this point. We're actually having our kickoff call here in the next week or so, but I'm very excited and honored to have been contacted to be a part of the advisory board.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that I've known you for several years. You're one of the very first people that I met when I got into equipment finance and leasing, and you're always present. You're always involved. You know the industry inside and out, whether it's through insurance or finance or whatever it is going on. And you've been a part of everything. So if anyone's going to be advising a board on growth or improvement, then that would be you for sure. I think I'm excited to have you on that board as well, because you know this industry inside and out.
Well, thanks, Leslie. That's a very kind way for you to say that I have been around for a long time, because I'm old, but I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I have had the great honor of participating on other committees and conference chairs and membership committees, scholarship committee, just to name a few. And I just find that it's so worthy to participate in all that you can with this association, because it gives you an easy way to meet lots of fantastic people. And so I would encourage anyone out there listening to this to really consider volunteering for getting on some of those conferences chairs or planning committees or whatever they ask you to do, or just raise your hand and volunteer.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Industry Advisory Council is the name of that council, I believe, right? And so I think that that's going to be great, because what that implies to me, even though it's super brand new, is that the AACFB has a continued commitment to being plugged in to what's going on in the industry, not just things that are being written or published, but down on the ground floor, and being a part of what brokers and lenders are doing on a daily basis, and what they need to be successful. So again, I'm super glad you're on that. And you've been in, like you said, a lot of different things. So what are some other boards and councils you've been on? I know I don't know it. It's been a good long list. What are some of the ones you've loved?
Oh, I've enjoyed participating in every one of them. I will say the toughest one for me to be on is the scholarship committee, because we always have so many worthy applications, and I just want to give money to everyone. So it's just so hard for such a worthy cause. I just somehow wish that we could have a larger fund so that we could give everybody some more. So that honestly is the toughest one I've ever been on. Everything else is just fun and games.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It is a lot of fun, a lot of work and a lot of fun, but it's worthwhile. So
Yeah.
I know you very well. I stay in touch with you, and I know where you are and what you do and what you specialize in. But for those in the ACFB that don't, give us your elevator pitch.
Well, my elevator pitch, currently I am with and have been since 2009, Orange Commercial Credit, and we are a factoring company. And when I started with OCC, I just realized that networking in an association like AACFB was just primo. It was the way to go, because I know of the AACFB prior, when it was NAELB, all these acronyms that we've known over the years. because my background prior to coming here to Orange Commercial Credit was in the equipment leasing space. So I felt like I had a leg up because I had known of so many funding sources and brokers that are in so many different industries. And I just knew that that was a great place. AACFB is a great place for me to network, because here at Orange Commercial Credit, we're providing, a value added service. We're not doing any equipment financing. So we're not a competitor, but we are an associate member within the AACFB providing cash flow solutions. And, my gosh, what company doesn't need a cash flow solution? So it is a value add that I think, and when I talk to referral partners, whether that be brokers or funding sources, I encourage them to always ask every applicant, would you like to get paid quicker? And who doesn't want to get paid quicker? So it's just, a little another arrow for their quiver, if you will. And so having the leg up with so many years in the equipment leasing world, I have the ability to speak the equipment side of it as well as the factoring side of it, and really pitch the fact that they are comparable, or products that work well together, I should say. And so that's why I'm in AACFB. It's just such great networking and good people for what I'm doing here at Orange Commercial Credit.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of education that takes place whenever you are promoting or offering a value add, because for the newer brokers who are coming into the industry, they may not even know what factoring is, or if they do, they may not know how to initiate it or get started with a reputable company like Orange Commercial Credit. But education, because even we had to go through that. And Tina, when you first met me, you were really educating me on what factoring was and how it can be a value add. And then once it can be a value add, how do you use it? How do you get your customer into it? How do we educate our customer on it? They have a problem, but they may not know what factoring is or how it can be helpful. So, and AACFB is an educational association as well. So those do go well together.
Yeah.
It's super helpful with that.
Leslie, when you talk about when we first met, I believe that we first met when I was taking and sitting for the CLFP. Mm-hmm. And I was honored to be able to take the CLFP working for a factoring company. And I think you were a presenter for the CLFP. And I think that's when we first met. Actually, we met at a conference first, and I think it was I don't remember, there was a bar involved, I know that, but then I saw you.
No, you don't say.
At the CLFP when you were presenting. And anyway, I am honored to have been able to sit for the CLFP, and honored to say that I believe I am the first associate member, so non-equipment provider that achieved the accreditation of CLFP. And it was important for me to get that accreditation, because to me, this tells the brokers that are typically doing equipment transactions that I know what they're experiencing on a daily basis with equipment lenders. I can talk the talk and know what they're going through, and I can explain how factoring works and how it will complement what they're offering. And so it was really important for me to get my CLFP accreditation and be the first associate member to get that, because that gave me the leg up then on any other factoring or other type of lenders that are now members of the association.
It absolutely does. If you don't understand how to speak to brokers, and brokers speak in that equipment finance language, or like you said, know all the laws, rules, regulations, things that can be done, things that can't be done, then you're right. You aren't going to be able to communicate as well as someone who hasn't. I didn't know that about you, which I love it. I think that's amazing. Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Be there first. That's awesome. Yeah, congratulations on that. I didn't know that. I did not know that. And that happened a long time ago. I should have known that. And you deserve, oh, look, a thumbs up. See, even Google wants to give you thumbs up.
Oh my gosh.
So good for you. No,
Funny.
that speaks volumes. That speaks volumes for you. And I know that Orange Commercial Credit is very lucky to have you. It's a great company to
Oh,
work for as well.
you're sweet. Yeah.
I speak the truth, Tina.
Aw.
So tell me a little bit about, we talk a lot about AACFB and business and all these things because it makes up such a big part of our lives and because we love it. We're here, we love what we do. But
Yeah.
on a personal note, what are some of your favorite things to do? I was thinking earlier too, and I have a bad habit asking 3 questions at one time, so I'm gonna let you pick what you answer. I want to know what you love to do, but I'm curious to, if you were walking by a table and you heard people talking,
Yeah.
what subject could they be talking about that would make you stop and want to be a part of that combo? Like, what are
Oh,
you
wow.
so interested in that if you heard someone talking about it, you'd be like, I'm sorry I'm interrupting, but I've just got to talk about this thing. What would that be?
Gosh, there's a lot. I take every opportunity I can to interject myself in conversations. It's the salesperson in me. But I think, if someone were talking about travel or, recreational things that we do, my husband, I'll talk a little personal here. I have been married to my wonderful husband. We're celebrating our 40-year wedding anniversary this
Oh my
fall.
goodness.
Yeah, we have
Amazing.
2 adult children, and I have 2 grandbabies, both boys. And as a family, growing up, we did a lot of camping and hiking. And now my husband and I, being old timers here, and we got ourselves a little place on the Oregon coast, and we spend a lot of time there. And we do a lot of biking and walking, more walking than hiking. And here at home, we do a lot of yard work and gardening, all the old timer stuff. And we're getting ready to celebrate our 40-year anniversary. We are actually going on a 2-week trip to Italy. And so that, just the travel aspect right now, finally at a point in my life where we can afford to travel, and we're empty nesters, have been for a long time. And so we're, anybody talking at a table about world travels, I'm just having more and more of an interest in that, or just family matters. I just love hearing about people's families and bragging about my own, of course.
Yeah, of course. You have to do that. You deserve to do it after all of that time you put into growing it and cultivating it. A family is the most work we put into anything, I'm sure, if we're doing it right. So you have to. So if someone were sitting there saying, oh, let me tell you what my grandson did, then you'd be off
Yes.
in that.
Yes, I am totally the grandma that would be, but did you see my pictures?
Yeah. That's great. I wouldn't want it any other way. That's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, good deal. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to share, whether it be personal or professional? Because this front and center is all about the person that we're talking to and getting to know them. And I always like to leave it open-ended with, is there anything you want to add before we say bye to everyone? And I thank you for joining us.
Yeah, well, I would like to actually go back a little bit in time and talk about how I got into the equipment funding world.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that I started my career in the equipment lending world with a company that a lot of the old timers in the association are very familiar with, and that's Colonial Pacific Leasing. And I joined Colonial Pacific Leasing back in the mid 80s. And it was actually at that time owned by Roseburg Lumber Company, which has always been very interesting to me. And then it got sold to Pitney Bowes and then to GE Capital. And during all that time, well, I'll go back to when I started with the company. I actually was hired through a temp agency to be the company typist. This is how old I am. I'm dating myself, I know, but this was like pre-computer days. And I literally typed every letter that went out of that company. And then I remember being so afraid. The IBM Selectric came out and it was doing all kinds of great things for us. And then I remember computers coming into the workplace, and I was so threatened by that because it was gonna put me out of a job, is what I thought. Well, actually, you know what? When one door closes, another one opens, and it actually gave me the opportunity for growth, thankfully. And I transitioned then into the customer service department at Colonial Pacific Leasing. And then that opened doors, and I transitioned into other operations. I was ended there in credit. And so that was just, a great growth opportunity. And I will say that I was with them for a number of years, and then I stayed home and had my children, and then I went back. They took me back, so I must have been doing something right. And then in the early 2000s, I actually accepted a position over at yet another industry big player, Textron Financial. And I went over there to their equipment division as a credit analyst. And I was there for 5 or 6 years, and then Textron closed down that division. But I had the great fortune of being asked to join their asset-based lending group, which was in the same building. So that was an easy commute. And I became a collateral specialist in Textron's asset-based lending group. And then we had a division president there that said to people, I need some more salespeople. Anybody want to do sales? And I raised my hand, and he let me do some sales support functions. I was doing my regular duties and then trying to break into sales. And that is where I broke into sales. And next thing I knew, I was a member of the sales group there. But then 2008 happened, and Textron decided to get rid of that asset-based lending group, anything with finance. And so, I was being the salesperson, I'm probably going to be let go. I was actually on vacation when everything started happening, and I'm getting the word on the street. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm probably going to go back and not have a job. Well, I was asked actually to remain on as one of the last employees there, closing down the business. And I think that was because they knew that I would do anything. I wasn't obviously doing sales, but I was helping with everything from collections to whatever needed done. And I feel it's because they knew that I would do whatever was needed. And then I had the great fortune of being called by Orange Commercial Credit, who I'm with now, in the factoring world, to come on board over here because I had been referring deals as a sales rep at Textron. We only did deals like $1 million and above. So anything that came in lower than that, I was referring over to Orange Commercial Credit. And they called me, and I felt very fortunate to get that phone call to come over there once I was done winding down with the Textron group. And so this is where I've been for the last 15 years doing business development. And I just feel very fortunate and blessed in my career. It was always like one door closing, and the fright that comes with that, and then another door opened. And so every time I get the opportunity to talk to it, I'm going to sound real old and say a young person in the industry, or anybody really that is experiencing something with their work, that they're frightened, what's going to be next and all that worry. I always say, don't worry, it always works out. So for my whole career, it has just always worked out. And I just like to share that with people that might be worried about what's coming with their work. I have a person in my personal life now who's a little nervous that her position might be phased out. And I just said, that's a great opportunity. You're going to move on to something else that's going to give you another opportunity, and just don't sweat it.
Agreed, 100%. That's one of the best messages you could give others, especially in times like we're right before an election right now. I know, tensions are real high. People don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Not just even with their personal positions, or their individual positions at a company, but just the industry overall. And you're right. I feel the same way. There's not been one time it didn't feel like whatever change was happening was meant to be.
Yep, you just got to pivot and roll with it. And that's sometimes hard to think about, especially when you've got a family, you got to put food on the table. Anyway, I just wanted to share that about my background with Colonial and then Textron and now here at OCC. And I'll retire from here someday.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no doubt. If they ever let you go, I wouldn't.
They
No
will.
retirement for you, Tina. I think that's great, and I'm glad that you did share that because I didn't know that about you personally, and I've known you a long time, and it's a good.
Yeah, you and I usually talk about trucks and financing. We don't get too much into the background, so happy to
Isn't that the
share.
thing? Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that the thing? We spend so much time. We could tell you all kinds of things about each other, or we could tell each other all kinds of things about each other and other people, but we don't always take the time to say, but hey, like what's going on outside of work? In fact, I might even like if someone said, so what's going on outside of work? I'm like, what kind of question is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should take more time to get to know each other, and we don't. And so with the front and center, we're able to do that. And that's really part of the goal. We want everyone to be able to also talk about what they do for a living, but when they do as well as you do with marketing and business development, everyone knows that already. They don't necessarily know your backstory or that, you know, you love to bike and that you love to take walks or that you have a place in Oregon now. So thank you for sharing those things. It's invaluable.
Yeah, thank you for conducting these interviews, Leslie. It takes time for you to do that too. So thanks for supporting the association with what you do as well.
Absolutely. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Good.
All right. I think that's it. So thank you, Tina. I'll plug that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I'm glad I got to talk with you about this. I know a lot of people will enjoy knowing you a little bit better, especially with the steps you're taking to join some more of the advisory councils for AACFB. And I'll be seeing you at the next conference.
Yeah, see you in NOLA.